We are back, another fun-filled, exciting hour with your pals, Keith and Jason, right here on This Show is a JK, your 1 hour podcast of all things, I guess. No real, a cacophony. That's a good word, cacophony. Have you used cacophony in a story before? Did you use it in your latest story?
I did not.
Oh, okay.
No. Cacophony?
Cacophony, yeah. A cacophony of alacrity. A cacophony of things that we will, I'm sure, talk about this week. Plus, I've got a fantastic surprise bracket. I think what we're trying to do with the brackets on each other is just surprise each other each week anyway. So that's kind of fun. But this will be a complete surprise to him. I have not tipped him to it, and he has no clue what it is, so it should be fun. But I had fun putting it together, and it didn't take long. It's only the Elite Eight, so that makes it a little easier. It's gotten colder here. I don't know what's going on with that, but the cold front swept through. It was like 31 degrees last night. Like
it was
0 degrees Celsius.
Today was a beautiful day, just a little chilly.
Yeah. So I was out. I worked until noon, and then Annabelle's like, I want food. So we went out to Kentucky Fried Chicken, believe it or not.
Nice.
She likes that every once in a while. And have you been to the Nick's Fried Chicken place yet?
Not yet, but it's on my agenda.
I recommend it. It's really good, and it looks exactly like KFC. It's my favorite part. It's like from Coming to America, McDowell's. It's McDowell's. It's fantastic, but it's good chicken. But I can only eat it once a quarter because it's that sort of Kentucky fried goodness, oily and all of that. But last time I ate it, I told Didi, I'm like, okay, we're done on that in a little while. We gotta wave that off. So. But we took her to KFC and then wanted to be out in the day, so went to I picked up some lunch and then we kind of drove the long way back. So, but I've been working all day. I've been editing video and writing scripts and doing all that all day. So it's been a busy day. What's up with you? You got your haircut. You tell us about your haircut adventure, because I think people. So we do try to keep you advised of what's happening COVID, but we don't want to just sort of, belch out the entire list of things. That's never fun. But this Keith's haircut story is fun, especially the part that I hope you mentioned from the photo, which I think is, I thought that when I was growing up, that was just a standard haircutting thing. But apparently now they have to do it. But I'll let you narrate this. Make sure you talk about, that you had to, the whole thing from Alpha to Omega.
Okay. So Saturday, I was in the BX complex where we shop.
It's a basic
exchange.
And
that's where the barbershop is. One of the barbershops, the big barbershop.
The big one.
Barbershop across the big mall aisle is the beauty shop.
Correct.
And I'm using hand gestures for all of you listening.
Yeah.
And so I thought, there's only like 3 people in there. Holy cow. So I walked up there.
I did the exact same thing. I was like, there's nobody in there. This is going to be fucking fantastic. Yes.
So the first appointment available was about 4:30 on Monday. I said, well, that's, I'm still supposed to be working at that time.
You sort of breezed over lead. The key is you have to make an appointment.
You have to make an appointment.
Right. That was the thing that caught me because I was in the mall probably the same day, but we were walking by. I said, I can finally get rid of this Elvis Presley pompadour I'm sporting and get back to regular hair growth, although I think I've decided to grow it out now. I think I'm just going that far. But I was like, oh, wow, there's like 3 people in there. Great, I'll just roll in. There must be a slow day. Appointment only. The door's like barricaded. They've got like a bodyguard there and a bouncer and the whole thing. So, yeah, you have to make an appointment.
They are the female barbers. Come on.
No, I thought there was like a big burly dude in front of them. Maybe he was just a customer. I don't know. But that's why I didn't go up and make an appointment. He scared me.
All right.
As they said in Alligator Dundee, you frightened shit out of me.
Yeah. So, I realized I had to make an appointment. Yeah. So I said, well, I'm supposed to be, still working around 4:30.
So how long was the wait? 1 day?
From Saturday till Monday.
Okay. So it was 2 days. Okay.
2.5 because I was there early.
Right.
And so 6:30 last night on Monday night, I went in and signed in and then stood in line 6 feet apart.
Right.
And as I actually got in before my appointment time because I got in line. And so a lady comes over. What they've done, because every other barber chair they've taped off to keep that social distancing.
Yes.
And so they've taken –
pretty standard at every venue now is kind of he loves me, he loves me not, he loves me, he loves me not sort of chair sequence.
Right. Nobody wants to sit next to you kind of thing.
That's pretty much what it is.
So they normally don't have 9 barbers in the barber shop.
Right.
But they do now because what they've done, because they've had to tape off every other seat, they've taken over part of the beauty shop.
Right.
And so some barbers are over there, and they just happen to be all female barbers last night when I was there. She came and called my name, and we walked across the mall aisle there to the barber or the beauty shop.
Right.
And the first thing she said was, "Sit down here. Everybody needs to get washed." I said, "Really? This is the first time I've heard about this."
Right.
And trust me, I've had my hair washed by a lady who cut my hair.
Yeah.
Just because it makes it easier to cut sometimes.
Yep.
But this is strictly for sanitary reasons now.
So nobody gets the Rona. They got to wash your hair so nobody gets the Rona.
I guess.
Yeah.
I saw today somebody called it the Roni, which took me right back to 1989 to Bobby Brown's album.
Talk about Roni. She's a sweet little girl. I thought of Rice-A-Roni. So that's how old I am. Because remember Rice-A-Roni, the San Francisco treat. That was kind of my deal. But yeah, that was a DJ in New York, and that was one of I remember that being in the cycle of songs that I played in my 2.5, 3 years while I was there. Roni.
That was a great album, by the way.
So they washed your hair.
So they washed my hair, which is kind of surprising. I'm talking to her. Of course, I took a selfie, posted it on my Facebook page.
That's what sparked the conversation.
It was just you have to keep your mask on as much as you can.
Right.
Now, I have the kind that loops over your ears, kind of not a surgical mask, but a mask that looks like a surgical mask. And but when they do up around my ears, I like up around my ears cut.
Right.
And I like not necessarily high and tight, but I like it off my ears. Right. So I put my hand over my face mask and pulled the string off.
Take your mask off and breathe into a paper bag?
No, just held the mask there with my hand and took the loop out over whichever ear she was working on.
Right.
And it's a good haircut. I like the way it looks. And a German citizen named Cheyenne. And I said, "That is not a German name, Cheyenne." She said, "No, it's not."
It's a good name.
Apparently, when I was born,
I've known a couple people
my mother was going through a Native American kick. She was very interested in American Native Americans in Native Americans. So, I can hear you. Oh, what are you doing? Okay.
Just tapping my microphone.
That's almost cultural appropriation.
I don't think it is.
I don't think it is either.
I thought it was more of a tribute.
So that's my haircut story. So if you're listening and you want Darren and you want to get a haircut
Darren doesn't want a haircut.
At any BX
Darren's got great hair. Was it any more to get your hair washed, or was it the same valuable price?
I remember it being $15 the last time I got a haircut.
Right.
Now it's like $18.95.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know that they've raised the price because they can only fit so many people in.
Yep.
If they're just that's the price they're sticking with from now on.
Right.
I don't know. There you have it.
When I was at Fort Gordon, I used to go get my hair cut out there. Or there was a Supercuts near my house. The woman there did a fantastic job. Actually, I shifted to her later, but it was $9.75 at Fort Gordon. So I'd always just, I had a 20 in my wallet, so I just hand them a 20. As long as they didn't really butcher my hair. You try to take care of people and say, "Oh, it was a good job," whatever. $18 now is hovering on Supercuts territory, but it's probably necessary, with what they're doing. Are you still there? Okay, you just turning on your video. I was like, "Where did I go?" Okay. It's probably necessary with what they do, with the hair washing and everything. So maybe they just raised it. I don't know. I thought it was maybe it was like $17.75 before. Oh, it doesn't matter. What happened to your computer?
I have a vague idea now. It's fixed, thank goodness. Mm-hmm. And so the genesis of this thing is that all of a sudden I got updates. I believe they were from the company that made my computer. It starts with a D.
Dell.
And Dell. Okay, yes, Dell. And automatic updates, that come in.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden some websites that I have in my favorites I couldn't get to.
A what?
No.
Not those
like
websites.
Facebook.
All right.
Things like Facebook, things like CNN, Fox News, because I try to be balanced where I get
pragmatic.
My news. Right. Out of the 39 favorites I had in my favorites bar, right. 11 websites did not work. Amazon would not work. So I tried to figure it out. No, I did what you told me to do: unplug the Wi-Fi and let it start back up.
It sounded like the update just fucked up your computer. Is really. I was trying to get over there to come and see it, but I really didn't get a chance to break away to do it.
So I got to Dell customer service via phone,
right,
on Friday night, and spent an hour with them or a half hour with them, only to have them tell me, "Oh, well, we're Dell. We only do the hard drives. You need to go to Microsoft." Oh, well, okay. Screw you very much.
Yeah.
And so last night, which was Monday night, I finally got up the nerve to try to get a hold of Dell. Microsoft.
Nicaragua or something.
And so I got them on the phone very quickly.
Right.
And so we spent roughly about an hour. Now, I started this call just after 11 o'clock p.m.
Right.
So roughly about an hour, only to have her say, well, the last thing she said, and she was very nice. She was going through all these things. Well, do you mind if I get control of your screen? And no, I don't have a problem with that at all.
Yeah.
Well, you need to go to blah, blah, blah. I said, I tried to say, oh, guess what? Microsoft.com is one of the websites I can't get to.
That's so weird.
So you're just going to have to walk me through this step by step.
Right.
Well, it turns out she was just trying to get Outlook done.
Yeah.
And I knew, I just had a feeling in my bones that if we could get one figured out,
right,
it would fix everything, right?
Right.
So either Outlook or the websites, and it would fix everything. Well, she said, I don't handle the Windows part, just the Outlook. And she said, do this, do this, do this. Well, that was already done. Put in the IMAP and these numbers and all that.
Right.
And that was already in there. She goes, well, sir, I'm going to ask you to go to Windows. Here's their phone number, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I waited until late this afternoon, and finally got a hold of somebody. Claudia, who was in Nicaragua. Yes. And she stayed on the phone with me an hour and a half. She was getting frustrated. She said, sir, restart your computer. Okay. Try it again. And bam, everything worked.
I knew it had something to do.
Working.
It was something to do with the network adapter, and I knew it was something there. I think if I'd come over, because oddly enough, I was sitting here last. Yeah, that's good too. Oddly enough, I was sitting here last night, and I came home from work, and I'm like, okay, I got a few things I need to do, but my awesome, wonderful family had been using the VPN, so I needed to turn off the VPN because that increases the bandwidth in order to upload and download. I've got this commission to draw this artwork, so I needed to upload and download stuff. So I turned off the VPN, and then all of a sudden, I had an almost exact same similar situation as you did. Certain websites
I could the blue screen of death.
I did. Well, I'll get to that in a minute. So there were certain websites I couldn't get to, and I was like, "The fuck?" And then it just stopped, and then. So, if you're not familiar, German Wi-Fi, German internet in general in this area is not great. There's no such thing as gigabyte internet here. It just doesn't exist. Hasn't existed. Didn't exist when I lived in Germany or lived in Germany prior. Doesn't exist here. Hasn't existed here for a while.
It probably exists in, say, Frankfurt.
Yeah, I would say in the bigger Berlin, Frankfurt, Hanover, Hamburg. Yeah, probably there. They've probably got some fiber, but this is cow country, industrial country. And the residents here, I think I'm getting 50 megabytes right now, which is plenty to do. Like if you want to do 2 Netflix streams in the house, which has happened, and you can do some other things, but that's about it. And you can see
it's a town. The Kaiserslautern is a city of about 100,000 people, right. And that's not counting. That's the local nationals. That's not counting the 50,000 right. Americans.
And I think the
total American.
And to be fair, I mean, there's probably some folks who are demanding gigabyte internet in the community, but I think the most of the demand comes from us. So anyway, the sort of infrastructure is slow and to begin with. So and also the houses are made of concrete, like bunker concrete. Wi-Fi does not go through concrete. It goes through American houses because American houses are made of wood and paper, basically. So it goes through those very well. Doors are made of basically the same thing. So it bounces around, it can penetrate and all that. In a concrete house that's 3 stories, it's basically supposed to be 3 small apartments where we live. It does not move well. So I had to set up the Wi-Fi, the router. God, I'm getting old. Set up the router on the second floor right in the middle of the hallway so that it sort of spread out equally to all areas. And what I did recently, 2 weeks ago, leading me back to where my problems may have originated, I installed something called a power line network. Are you familiar with this?
I am not.
Okay, so what you do is you buy these adapters, and you can plug in from your router to this adapter and then plug it into the wall, and it turns your electrical system into a very fast cable network. So you can route traffic from your router through your house electrical lines, and it's very fast. It's a lot more consistent too. And it had been working. And so I've got one of my computers hooked up to that. I've got one of my TVs that we stream with, and then I've got a Wi-Fi repeater downstairs that's hooked up to it. Worked great until last night. So I start to work, so I'd switched the VPN off. I sat down, and all of a sudden, nothing's working. I mean, I'm just like, what the hell? And occasionally the website works. So I'm switching though between what I'm noticing is the LAN the power line network is going dead, and then like switching to Wi-Fi. And but then I'd switch over to Wi-Fi, and I'd be like, okay, this seems to work good, and then it would die. So I was supposed to stream one of my simulated baseball games last night at 10 o'clock. And I didn't get started till like, it's 10 o'clock, but I didn't get started till like 10:45. They usually don't take more than about 30 minutes anyway, 35 minutes with a little commentary. So I finally got it worked out to stream the game. And I don't know what happened, but I had to basically turn off my router, unplug all the power line things, and start it again. But correlating with what happened to you, I think it had something to do with the gateway that your router and your Wi-Fi used changed, and somehow that screwed up your DNS settings, which something along those lines, and that screwed you up, which is I think what happened to me, because once I reset everything, as you can see, it's more or less working like a champ. So that leads me to blue screen of death, which I've never, ever, ever seen in a Windows 10 machine before, ever. I've never seen it. It's remarkable to me that it happened, but here's how it happened. So I'm simulating the baseball game. It's a game called Out of the Park Baseball 21. It's a brilliant, deep baseball simulation that I've played for, let's see, what's 21 minus 9? 12 years or whatever it is. I loved it. I've almost carried consistently the same league through. I use people's real names, like yours, like our wonderful boss. I put them in the game. It gives it a little flavor. I enjoy doing it.
How am I doing?
You are a second baseman. You're doing very well. You are good in the clutch. No shit, good in the clutch. But Darren's in there. He's a great relief pitcher. I just randomly name people, except for myself. I make myself really good. But anyway,
I'm more of a shortstop, but I played a lot of second.
You are playing shortstop right now because of an injury, but you're going to move back to second, I think, tomorrow. Not the point. Point is, it's a brilliantly deep sim, but you can ask me more about it later. Brilliantly deep sim that the MLB actually is using now to run some simulations and some other things. It's incredible. So I've loved it. I've fallen in love with it since edition 9. So I'm simulating the game, kind of calling a little play-by-play for the 6 or 7 people who are viewing it. There's usually about that many. I've had up to 13. So there's a little very fervent crowd, and it's the customization. It's just so deep. I'm in the 7th inning. I'm getting shit-hammered like 10-2 against a team that's about to make a wild card berth, and I'm at the top of my division, but I can't clinch my division. So it's like 8th inning, and I'm pissed. I'm like, okay, here's so-and-so up to bat. He hasn't done a thing the whole game. Let's see what he does. Hit the button. I hit the button. It says, okay, he comes to the plate. Blue screen of death. And I was like, oh, shit. So the only way I know this is because I went back to the stream on Twitch, and I looked at it, and I said, okay, when does this happen? So sure enough, it's right when I hit the button. So I think it had something to do with the way the game was interfacing with the memory, and maybe I had one or two too many apps going or something like that. But I'm just hoping it's a one-off and it's not something that's like going to happen every time I play the games, but we'll see. I think it was just a one-off.
After you shit your pants, what did you do?
Well, I shat my pants for like an hour because, I'm kind of a tech geek, so I'm sitting there saying, okay, I looked up I saw the kind of error it was, and I looked it up, and it said data loss, and I was like, oh shit. So it said something to do with the master boot record, which is, if you're not familiar with computers, all computers have something called a master boot record, or a graphic user interface device ID, which is when your computer boots up to start with. It does not run Windows. It doesn't do anything. It looks for an operating system. It looks for a means to function. And this master boot record is what hackers, it's like the nirvana for hackers, because if they can hack your master boot record, you'll never see it, and they can do things on your computer that you'll never know. But if this thing is screwed up, it can also just total your computer. And the only way to get that computer back is to restore Windows, like from whatever disks you have or whatever hard drive you have it on. You just have to go in and restore it. So I looked at the error, and that was that kind of error, and I was like, oh, shit. So that's why I watched the video again and again, because I'm like, okay, it looks like it happened because of the game was trying to interface with a part of the memory that was probably being used by another program or something right at that moment, and boom. So the bad news was that happened. The not as bad news was I don't think it's going to happen again. I think it was an anomaly. The good news is I get to play that game again and hopefully beat the shit out of that team and use the right pitching. So that's kind of the fun of it. You're listening to This Show is a JK. My name is Jason Tudor. On the other side is shortstop / second baseman Keith Pinnell, who's hitting about 269 right now with 35 RBI.
69.
I'll double check that. You were hitting 300 earlier on this year. In any case, Stefan, by the way, got injured earlier this year. He was pitching fantastically. He had like a 1.6 ERA, but then he tweaked his arm, so he's been out for
Was it his knee?
No, it's his arm. He's been out for most of the season. So if you like this show, don't forget to find us on iTunes. We do video on Saturday nights, in Europe anyway, but Saturday afternoons, I guess, in the States at 3 p.m. to 4 p.m., and we are jovial and take questions and do whatever the hell else you want. We do that on our Facebook page, which is the same name. We also have an Instagram account. We need to start populating that with goofy shit. I'll do a better job of that. Maybe you can help me. But in any case, you can find us on iTunes, Spreaker, Spotify, and all the other, Partridge in a Pear Tree, the other places. So what do you got? You got anything you want to talk about? I got a ton of shit right here, and I've got like 3 tabs open still. So plus the bracket. I'm full.
I told you that I read Peter King, NFL writer, every week.
Right.
This week, and Peter King, I think he's a little bit too New York Giantsy, because that's where he broke in back in 1984.
He is
writing for
a homer. He is the biggest homer. He always has been. But I mean, as long as you know that, then you can accept his writing.
His writing is fantastic.
Right.
Everybody knows him. It's a good read every week.
Right.
But this week was all he had. He had a 15-minute interview with Dr. Fauci. Is that how you say his name?
Yes.
Dr.
Fauci. Exactly correct.
And so several things that I took out of that was Fauci said, "I believe there can be a football season." Now. One thing is, you're going to have to test everybody who comes in contact with the players,
right,
from the upper staff down to the ball boy and everybody in between, at least twice before a game.
All right.
And if, say, one comes out positive, a player, now we're talking players now,
right.
If one comes out positive, you have to do a trace. You don't necessarily have to quarantine. But if 3 or 4 players come out positive, that team will not play for 2 weeks. So because so many people will have been part of that.
Right.
The other thing he said was, I see, if the NFL plays, that we can have fans in the stands. And you and I have talked about this. I pointed at you on my screen. You and I have talked about this before.
Right.
Do you put do you fill the stands a quarter of the way or half the way, and keep that social distancing between people, families, whatever.
Right.
Because you're looking at 200,000 tests a week.
And that's not going. That's not going to be a solution.
No.
They're going to play football. And by the way, I'm sending you your player card in Skype right now. There it is. That's not going to be a solution. I think the Bundesliga is going with no fans in the stand. I think they're going to minimize the exposure by simply limiting it to staffs and coaches and staffs and players, vice exposing people in the sort of whole of Germany, right? The NFL will be. It'll be interesting to see the NFL takes. They have a long time to get ready for this. And they have an opportunity to kind of say, okay, because it's going to be a fun balance too, because they have season ticket holders who have seats there, and there. What are they going to do with them? Are they going to only leave the stadium open to season ticket holders? Because that's usually about a quarter of the base anyway. So they could spread them all out and say, sorry, we're not selling any other tickets. And if you're a ticket holder, tough shit. We'll figure out a way for you to tailgate. Baseball, yesterday, the league has approved a way back. Now the players have to vote on it in a players union, but it could be time for Dodger baseball soon. Hockey, I think, hockey's got an international problem. We've talked about that before, that if Trudeau has already said if players cross the border and they're not Canadian, they're going to have to go through the whole rigor of whatever the Canadians are doing to do that. So I said this a couple shows ago, but we're back. I think we're in the next level of the more interesting time. People are very restless. We have divided ourselves health-wise into haves and have-nots. That is, there's a growing crowd of people who say, I'm healthy, why are you quarantining me? And just that is their 30,000-foot layer. And that's, we want to get back to golfing and drinking and going to restaurants because we're the healthy and they're not. That bothers me a little bit. So I have no issue with sports coming back. You and I love sports. We're ready. And put it on TV as much as you want. UFC was on last weekend. I guess they did it without a crowd, and it was fine. So
racing starts this weekend,
right? But I think before we started talking, came on. India showed a huge spike. Russia showed a gigantic spike, and that's weird because you would think they wouldn't release anything truthful, but that's the way it goes.
I'm surprised they did,
right? And so. I don't know. Again, I'm not a medical professional. I am not a sociologist. I'm not a scientist, and I am not a politician. As I've said before, I get the thing down that says, here's what Jason is supposed to do, and I do that. And I will do that until they tell me not to do that. Our own easing has begun here pretty well. So it will be that's the one thing we haven't, it's sort of been the elephant in the room. We've talked about sports to me is NFL coming back. It's going to come back. There's no question in my mind. In the same way that the Bundesliga came back, and as our colleague Petra told us, mostly to fulfill TV contract obligations so they don't lose like 300 or 310 million euros or something like that. And I'm sure maybe the Premier League is in a similar situation, though I haven't heard hide nor hair about that. But that said, football is going to come back. What it looks like, what will be more interesting to me is college football, because I think the NFL is older crowds, and I mean, it's not to say they're still not as crazy, but college crowds are much crazier. There are a lot more shirtless people at college football games, with their college, UF or, my Nebraska, what's the N for knowledge, have that written on their chests in a line of people.
I think I came out of the birth canal saying that because I'm an OU fan.
Yeah. So to me, it'll be fascinating to see. I welcome it all back, but I have no judgment one way or the other if they can make it work. Look, there's a lot of smart people who run these businesses. Their first job is to make a profit. But I think somewhere second or third is, okay, how can we do this smartly, right? So I think that exists in some corner, somewhere, so.
I think for you and I, what it comes down to is we love sports.
Yeah.
We want to see sports.
Yeah.
But knowing what we know after being in Germany and going through all this,
right.
At knowing what we know and seeing what we've seen,
right.
We understand if it doesn't come back.
Yeah.
If it does take a while.
And so, again, I understand there are people who are like, I'm healthy, let me do what I want. And there are, as there are in any corridor of life, politics, religion, sports, food, hobbies, OU fans, San Diego State fans, Los Angeles Dodgers fans, Las Vegas Raiders fans, Dallas Cowboys fans. There are slivers of belief, right? In every vocation, there are different degrees of belief. And essentially the way I always looked at it is I call it the 80-10-10 belief, right? Generally. 10% are going to believe something incredibly radical on one side. 10% are going to believe something incredibly radical on another side. Again, apply that to whatever I just said. And then there's a sort of 80% squishy middle who are somewhere in between that. They may be more to the middle of, like I am, of let me let the experts handle it. I'm just going to do what I'm told. They may be more to the right, to the left. But I'm a big believer that all things have these sorts of slivers of belief. And, there's Reform Judaism and then there's ultra-Orthodox conservative Judaism, right? There's a reason why Martin Luther hammered a sign on the door and made things the way they are. So Stonehenge is canceled. Did you see this?
I did not, and I don't know exactly what you're talking about.
I figured. The Stonehenge, since it's close by, Stonehenge has a summer solstice, and it has celebrations. And, of course, those celebrations are canceled due to the pandemic. The event was supposed to take place around, of course, June 21st, around the summer solstice. And I guess they've taken a cue from the Oktoberfest and the Olympics and a few others and said, maybe this isn't such a hot idea. And the last time, it was just about 4 days ago, I think England was still either steady or spiking a little bit for whatever it is. Hey, look, if it's any indication of how serious this is, they're not allowing people who've had coronavirus to join the military, like ever.
I was going to wondered when we were going to get around to talking about that.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. If they just don't know enough about it to know, or they know enough about it to go, this has fucked you up enough where you can't join the military. So, I guess nobody takes that into an argument. Anyway, the Stonehenge gathering is canceled along with all of the other stuff. About 10 or 12,000 people usually attend that every year. Just FYI.
Wow. I broke my vow of silence on social media reference COVID-19 today.
Okay.
Not about an hour ago, as a matter of fact.
All right.
On a site at a TV station I used to work at.
Yeah.
I've worked at 4. Somebody posted, you always give us bad news. Why don't you give us the rate of recoveries?
Right.
Okay, well, yes. And I finally got on there very calmly and said, if you want a headline that says X county spikes in recoveries, you have to have X county spikes in positive cases first.
Right.
And you can't do anything without the other. However, you can have less people getting sick in the first place if you just do what the smart people tell you to do.
Yeah.
So anyway, I try to be not non-committal, but non-adversarial about it. But I'm sure when I go back to Facebook, which is now working, that I'll have lots of red numbers.
I frankly am always pleased when I don't have Facebook in front of me. I find I'm a lot happier when I don't have to stare down Facebook. So you heard about the sword fighting in Kansas, yes? You had to have heard about that, no? Yes?
No.
Okay, so there is a guy who wanted to so they're having a child custody issue. Now, normally what you would do with that is you'd probably hire a couple of attorneys, maybe a mediator. You'd sit down and figure out who gets the kid for the summer and the weekends and all of that, and you'd make a document and you'd sign it and go to the judge and say, okay, we've been amicable. Or if you're really frustrated, then
that's generally how that works.
Okay,
yes.
So I haven't had that experience, but I understand.
Good on you.
Yeah. So, but then, if it gets heated, your lawyers probably talk a bit more and you get a little defensive and there's some squabbling and that whole thing. But in the end, at some point, you come up with what I would think is an agreement of, hey, this is how we decided. Well, this guy, his name is David Ostrom. He has decided to ask permission to legally sword fight with his ex-wife. And the courts have said, you're not insane. And yeah, you can be allowed to sword fight your wife if you both mutually agree to it.
So I've got a lot of things going through my head, PTSD kind of things. So what happened? How does he win? Or how do they determine the winner? Will there be blood? Will there be assault case after that? Is he going to behead her, or is she going to cut off other appendages of his body?
So
who wins?
So I misread the story. I'm sorry. He hasn't been allowed to sword fight. But let me just give you some text here. To be allowed to fight his former wife, Bridget, and her attorney, Matthew, so that he can rend their souls from their bodies. But he's not insane. That was what the term.
Now I'm ejecting. I'm done.
The Ostroms have been embroiled in disputes over custody and visitation issues and property tax payments. The Iowa judge responded by temporarily suspending David's child visitation and ordering the evaluation, the one he was found not insane. So here's why he probably wants to sword fight. Ostrom asked the court to order psych evals for his ex-wife and attorney. Ostrom's representing himself in court, and what do people who represent themselves in court have as a client? A fool. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. That's for my sister-in-law, Meredith, who is an attorney. He also filed a second motion Friday asking for parenting time with his children and that he be reimbursed about $5,000 in legal fees and the $2,200 for the psychological evaluation. He's also asking for 255 G's in emotional damage. The sword fight is
and the $1,200 for the Game of Thrones sword.
You can get one for like $85 at any good flea market. Yeah. If you're using a $1,200 sword, you better have bought that thing because it was like part of your family heritage or something. Have you been watching the Last Dance at all?
I have.
What do you think?
I didn't know you were.
No, I'm not. I just have. If I've watched TV, young, you would hear about it.
We were in our 20s when that was happening, 91, 92, 93,
I was
95.
A big Bulls fan.
And then in our late 20s when they made the next three championship run. So I was very into that. I'm a big Michael Jordan fan.
Yeah.
My mom used to work at a sporting goods store. She bought me some of the original Air Jordans.
Nice.
And it goes through all that, how that came to buy. I was going to bring that up, in fact, because we have a mutual local national friend, a German friend, who works in Baumholder.
Yep, Bernd.
And he loves everything Adidas.
He is my baseball team's closer, by the way.
Oh, very nice. He could do it. I mean, from bottom of his feet to the top of his head, if he's wearing a sporting attire, it's Adidas.
He is a living Adidas tribute.
He's been to the Adidas factory.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Mm-hmm. So when suitors, if you will, came to court Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan wanted to go with Adidas.
Mm-hmm.
That's in like episode 1, episode 2, something like that.
Right.
But Adidas was not ready for the basketball market.
Nope.
So Nike, at the time, Nike was a young company. Phil Knight was getting it off the ground. They were doing well, obviously. Yeah. I had a pair of Nikes, blue Nikes with the gold swoosh in 1978 or whatever it was.
Nice.
But so this is like 18 years later, in the early 90s. Ooh, fettuccine Alfredo. Anyway, so they threw gobs of money at him.
Yeah.
They said, we're developing this shoe. It's the Nike Air. So we're coming up with this campaign, and you are going to be Air Jordan. That's where the name comes from.
Which is brilliant, by the way, because it doesn't. It's so ethereal. Anybody could put themselves as Air Jordan. There wasn't a physical property to it. It was just brilliant campaign.
Like Mike.
Yep. Brilliant. His whole career in terms of how he was branded and just brilliant. It was really brilliant. I'm going to catch it when it's done. I'll catch it on the flip side. I watched every Bulls championship, I think, up until he went to play baseball. And then when he came back, I watched those Bulls championships. I was a big Bulls fan, despite being a Lakers fan. And so they were just fun to watch. They were fun to watch conquer, and it was fun to watch Jordan just cut people's throats every single night, and he had no problem doing it. And that's the mentality. I love that mentality. Like, I am not here to make friends. I am here to kill you. And There's one graphic that I saw. I don't know if it was from the game or they showed it in the video or not, but it starts with like the number 67, then it ends with the number 30, and it goes like 67, 61, 55, 55, 54, and it kind of does that the whole way down to 30. It's like that's every game he played and the scores he tallied.
Right.
It's brilliant.
Right.
But
yeah, it is it's a great, for somebody who lived that time and
right.
and liked Michael Jordan, liked to watch him play.
Right.
It goes behind the scenes. Jerry Krause is just a big asshole.
Yeah.
And
but he always seemed to come up with money.
Bad for the coaches that came before Phil and
who was that? Was what the hell was his name? He became a good announcer though, a good commentator.
Yeah, exactly. I can't think.
I can see his face, but yeah, he became a good announcer. But yeah, he was not good with Jordan in the rookie years.
There's an episode that focuses on Rodman. There's an episode that focuses on Pittman, who was really done bad by the Bulls. And all that. And let's see, Netflix is releasing 2 episodes every Monday. I think today would have been 8 and 9, I believe. 7 and 8, I guess. So I have not watched those yet, but they're fascinating. But the behind the scenes stuff, Michael, interviews today.
Right.
So if you're expecting Michael to be kind and considerate and everything you saw in commercials and things like that, Michael's foul-mouthed. Yeah. And he's not afraid to, but he doesn't have to be.
No.
Nobody has to be. There's no love lost between Michael Jordan and Isaiah Thomas.
No.
Absolutely none.
No.
Mike would not pee in Isaiah's ear if his brain was on fire.
I think all right. I think one of the things that fascinated me was they were going to talk about the fight between he and Steve Kerr, and then I read an article about Kerr saying this was a closed small thing, and we've never talked about it since. And he's like, I'm not chummy with Jordan. I mean, I may see him once a year at a golf tournament. Nobody really is, but it's not like we talk about it then or anything. And so it's a fascinating. That's a fascinating piece of it. The Rodman piece was fascinating. That whole era is pretty amazing anyway. Steve Kerr, the son of a U.S. ambassador, I believe. All right, last thing before we get to the bracket. If you don't know, Keith, the former world's shortest man has regained his title.
Did somebody die?
I think so. I hadn't read the story. I just read the headline. So let's read it together. Edward Nino Hernandez of Colombia was first declared the shortest mobile male in 2010, only to lose the title to 2 others. So he is 2 feet, 4938 inches tall. And there was a guy in Nepal who stood 2.241 inches tall who became the new record holder. And then he lost that title, get this is weird, to another Nepalese 1 foot 9.5 inches tall. Apparently both of those guys have died. The shortest non-mobile male is a guy from the Philippines named Junray Balawing, 1 foot 11.6 inches tall.
And just to put that in perspective, as I look at my laptop, that's less than 2 heights of my laptop screen.
Well, I'm looking, there's a still from the video, which I haven't watched, of Mr. Hernandez, and he's standing next to what I believe is a golden retriever. The golden retriever is sitting on the ground. He's not taller than the golden retriever sitting. Wow. It's pretty bizarre. All right, let's get to, and that is one of those, of course, news from the weird type stories I just thought, we'll talk about. All right, let's get to the bracket. Dun, 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 dun. All right,
a little bit apprehensive here.
I purposefully didn't tell you about this bracket because I wanted it to be a surprise, and I mulled over a few of them, but I arrived at this one earlier today, and I said, okay, this is the one. I want to see how well he knows this shit and what he's attached to. So, today's bracket, ladies and gentlemen, is best Oklahoma-based food. Now, it's a bracket of 8, so here are the contenders. You have the fried onion burger, fried pies, fried okra. You'll notice a fucking theme with your food. Something called calf fries. Do you know what those are?
I do.
Good. Sooner steaks, of course. Chicken fried steak.
Oh.
Something called fry bread.
Okay.
And softki.
That one I don't know.
Okay, I wasn't sure, but I threw it on there. All right, so let's do the 1 and 8 here. That will be fried onion burger versus softki. Now, as much as I read, the fried onion burger seems to be the one on here, aside from maybe calf fries and fry bread. That really is like, this is an Oklahoma thing, the fried onion burger. Are you familiar with this?
Is that a burger with onions in it? In the hamburger meat?
I think so. Or a couple of the iterations that I saw, it was like, it's a burger, and then you take like an enormous amount of onions, which I do anyway, and jam the onions on the burger, and then you eat them. So I think it's something like that.
I think it's the built-in onions, because there's a place I've heard of. I have a former coworker who loves a place in El Reno, Oklahoma.
Okay,
where there's a federal prison, and they go wherever this place is, whatever the name of it is. They go there fairly often to get an onion burger.
All right.
Now, what is softki?
All right, let me. I'll get that in a second. I was just trying to see if there was a. There are a lot of variations, it looks like, but it looks like what you said, which is the onions are sort of cooked into the burgers. I see one here; they're kind of squiggling out. So I think that's the way to go on this one. This one looks fantastic, but I just had a hamburger earlier. Softki is something made with cornmeal, and I want to say it's something like a soup. Again, I didn't research that one too closely. This one is it says the Creek word softki or osofki is a sour corn drink or soup enjoyed by native tribes who once lived primarily in Oklahoma, Seminole primarily on that one, as well as in Alabama and Louisiana. But for the Seminole in Oklahoma, it's made by cooking white cracked corn in a large amount of water, so that also contains lye made from wood ash. No other seasoning is used except among the Kasadi, who prepare them with salted water rather than lye ash. So I'm guessing you've never had that, and I already know who the winner of this one is.
Yeah, we'll go with even though I hate onions.
You don't like onions?
A long time ago. I don't like onions because onions make me cry.
Aww.
Anyway, no, I don't like onions, but I'll go with the onion burger.
Yeah, that was
just for my former coworker Kevin Young.
So I don't like onions if they're cooked. I don't like most vegetables when they're cooked because they're soggy and blah. But I love raw onions. I love them. All right.
Interesting.
So the next one is fried pies versus fry bread. So fried pies, look, I grew up on Hostess apple pies that you buy in a box, and they've got that crusty sort of layery thing on the outside. And the ones that I really liked, though, were the lemon pies. But you can't hardly find them anymore. But they had this beautiful sort of fried outer shell, and they had a little bit of powdered sugar on them. And you bit into them, and then all that lemon goo just went, it was amazing. So I know what a fried pie is. And I looked at the entry, and so it's basically the same thing. Maybe the fruit is fresher, that sort of thing. Fried bread, though, I looked at a couple of things that were like 10 absolute Oklahoma foods, but I have no clue what fried bread is.
It is also a Native American delicacy.
Okay.
It is a cross, I would say, and I'm going to get shelled for this, I know.
Yeah.
It's a cross between a pita and a corn tortilla.
All right.
If you will. Very soft sometimes. A lot of times when you have what they call Indian tacos, not my words for it, Indian tacos, they'll put that on fry bread.
All right, so Wikipedia says, is a flat dough bread, fried or deep fried in oil, shortening, or lard, made with simple ingredients. Fried bread can be eaten alone or with various toppings such as honey, jam, powdered sugar, whiskey, or beef. I threw in the whiskey. It's not true. Fried bread can also be made into tacos like Navajo tacos. That's what that says there. So. Yes. Okay. So we're good with both foods.
I'm going with fry bread.
You're going with fry bread. Wow.
I've eaten it, and when the last time I ate it actually was for a fundraiser for of the family of a young girl who had died from cancer. Okay. So the person I was with at the time, we went to the fundraiser, and they have all the vegetables you would put on a taco, blah blah blah. Of course, mine is just meat and cheese because I don't like vegetables. And
typical.
But the fry bread was fantastic.
All right, so fry bread is the winner. That is that was an upset. I had fried pies going deep there, thinking, but everything's fried in this thing. So all right, whatever.
Well, yeah.
All right, so next up is fried okra and chicken fried steak.
Oh,
now chicken fried steak is pretty ubiquitous. I grew up eating chicken fried steak. My dad made it. He was from Georgia. I had a ton of it while I lived in Texas. But all of the lists that I triangulated for Oklahoma sort of specific said you got to have chicken fried steak on the list. They said you had to have barbecue on the list too, but I thought that was too broad. I didn't really see a specifically prepared Oklahoma way to do barbecue, like you put like battery acid in the sauce or something, or so it was. I mean, it's probably amazing as most barbecue is, but I wanted to be narrow in the scope here, so. So anyway, against fried okra, I can't stand okra. Anyway, that's all I have to say on that. Your turn.
There's no way in hell okra's winning this. So now, having said that, my parents and my sister, and I think my daughter, I'm not sure, love okra, love fried okra. Yeah. My mom will make fried okra. Yeah. However, I've already forgotten.
Chicken fried steak.
Chicken fried steak. There's a place right off of Fort Sill, a little village kind of thing called Medicine Park. There's a creek that runs through it from the local lake.
A river runs through it.
Medicine. Oh my God! Why can't I think of the name? I've been here too long. Anyway, they make a chicken fried steak that is as big as your face.
Yeah.
And they have mashed potatoes. And everything is covered with the white pepper gravy.
Oh, yeah.
And if you eat this whole thing, you will waddle out of there.
Yeah.
I always take home leftovers when I remember to grab the leftovers. So I'm going with chicken fried steak.
Yeah, chicken fried steak. Chicken fried steak is a good deal, but I mean, if you overanalyze it, you're gonna wonder. When you're a certain age, you're not going to wonder why your artery is 70% clogged, because that is cube steak on top of oil fried bread on top of that gravy, which they serve at a Cracker Barrel too, and it's fucking amazing.
I mean it's you can hear them pounding in the kitchen, flattening the meat.
All right, so this is the last one. It's Sooner Steaks, and of course Oklahoma is a big cattle state, so that was an easy one. And again, this tracked with most of everything on there. So that was kind of the choice between the barbecue and the steak. Steaks is also sort of, broad, but everybody was sort of specifically like, Oklahoma beef, blah, blah, blah. So I was all right. Against calf fries. Now, you need to explain to the 6 listeners what calf fries is.
All right. So I have a cousin. She's married to a guy. They've been married almost as long as I've been alive, since I was like 8 years old or something like that.
Right.
They run a cattle lot out in the panhandle of Texas.
Right.
And every summer we would have a family reunion at one place or another. And anytime now we get together, because we're so spread out now, Dave, great guy, would bring several bags of calf fries, roll them in flour, boil them in grease, out on the lawn in a kettle, and they look like chicken nuggets. They are not chicken nuggets.
No.
They are more like cow nuggets. And by cow nuggets, I mean calf balls.
Yeah, that's exactly what they are.
Calf balls, I mean calf testicles.
They are calf
veins
testicles.
And all.
Yeah.
So what they do is these calves on these feedlots that they don't want to breed, and they know they're going to sell off, they castrate them, and then whoever wants whatever, as you can imagine, these West Texas or Texas Panhandle feedlots,
right.
how many head of cattle do you have go through there?
Yep.
Thousands and thousands and thousands. And if each, 1,000 has 2,000 balls in it, then, there's enough to go around. Now, for the longest time, I said, there's no way in hell I'm not eating that.
Yeah.
They look like nuggets.
Yep.
They
look like fried clams in the dish that I'm looking at right now, and they look pretty fucking good.
You can put them in. I mean, my family has a recipe of Worcestershire sauce and ketchup and Tabasco.
Well, the fact that your family has a recipe is pretty cool.
Yeah, and you dip it in that, and you don't really. If you don't know what you're eating, because that's how I got Cassidy, my daughter, to eat one. And bless you. And so
I know you saw that, but you didn't hear it.
There's no way in hell I'm trying. So then I got into my 20s, and I thought, and my cousins were old enough to give me shit about it. Yeah. And so I said, okay, I'll do it. I dipped one in a healthy layer of the sauce.
Yeah.
Popped it into my mouth, chewed twice, and swallowed. And I thought, you know what? That's
I would think it would be like.
I mean, it's not my favorite.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite, but it's not unedible.
For the 6 listeners, you may know these things better as Rocky Mountain oysters.
Sure.
Prairie oysters in Canada, if Marie's listening. So they're organs, a dish made of bull testicles. Organs deep fried after being skinned, coated in flour, peppered salt, sometimes pounded flat. They're often served as an appetizer. So they're like jalapeno poppers, for God's sakes. I've never eaten one. I've had my chance a couple times, but I've just, not like, I haven't gone ew, because I mean everybody eats different things, and I'm cool with that. But I haven't eaten them. So
they do not look like testicles.
No,
they
look like fried clams. They almost look like chicken nugget or popcorn chicken. That's what they look like.
Popcorn chicken.
That's it.
You're not going to get a vein or anything like that. They've been all that. Basically, what they do is slice it and turn it inside out,
right,
and take the meat out of
it.
Right. So I know there's people that are going to listen to this and go, no fucking way.
No,
I'm not eating that.
I'm actually saying it in my head, but I probably would try it if given. All right, well, who wins?
Believe it or not, what was the other one again? I've already forgotten.
Steak. Oklahoma beef steaks.
See, you can get great steak, Cattleman's Steakhouse in the old cattle district.
But is it now, so seriously, is it just steak? Or, I mean, is it like it's an exceptionally good steak? Because I've been to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, and I was disappointed by their steak. So, I mean, but I've been to Logan's Roadhouse, and I had the best prime rib of my life. So that's what I'm saying. In the context of what we're talking about, is it just steak that you're going to eat in Texas or Germany or wherever you go? And are calf fries like in Oklahoma? That's I guess what I'm saying.
To be honest, the best steak I've had in a long time that I can remember was at Johnny's in Omaha, another cattle town.
Yeah, another huge
I'm going to go just for giggles. I'm going with the calf fries.
Going with calf fries. All right. That's a good choice. All right. So let's see. So that leaves us to the final 4, which is going to be tough, I think. Actually, no, it won't be tough.
Now, you're going to put on the description, Keith talks about eating balls.
I literally wrote down here. Can you see it? I wrote down Keith explains calf fries as part of the description because I didn't want to forget it. So I'm probably going to write Keith has a ball with explaining calf fries. So I think that'll work. All right, here's your final 4. You ready? Your first matchup, and again, you don't have to expository since you've already done this. The first matchup is fried onion burger versus fry bread.
Fry bread.
Well, you don't like onions, so that's fair. Versus basically Midwest tortilla.
Right.
But
fry bread.
Fry bread. All right. That was I thought it might be that. So we'll put a W by that one. Onion burger gets the L. And now your other matchup, the Duke versus North Carolina matchup is you said calf fries, right?
I did say
I marked
fries.
that incorrectly. I don't know why I subconsciously marked steaks. Calf fries versus chicken fried steak.
Oh, man. I'll tell you what. I'm going with chicken fried steak.
Yeah.
If it's done well, you can't go wrong.
And I wouldn't make the same argument for chicken fried steak in Oklahoma because I read enough about it to know just that the way that they talked about their chicken fried steak was very local, right? And it not just a sort of chicken fried steak that you'd buy in a box. It sounded right. So I'll give you credit for that one. Okay, so that means your final matchup then is going to be fry bread versus chicken fried steak.
Chicken fried steak.
Yeah, that was
because I can taste it right now.
Yeah, I can too, actually. And I just had a huge lunch and a big dinner from P.F. Chang's earlier. Chicken fried steak is the winner of our surprise Oklahoma foods bracket for Keith. What'd you think? That was a good one, right?
I love the bracket. If you are in Southwest Oklahoma around, say, Fort Sill for you Army folks or Altus for your Air Force folks, and Wichita Falls folks, man, if you go to Old Plantation, I remember the name, Old Plantation.
Not a sponsor. Just want to know they're not a sponsor because we have to say that or we'll go to jail or something.
Holy cow, that chicken fried steak is fantastic.
My mom used to make really good chicken fried steak, actually. She made two things exceptionally well that I remember. One was a beef stew. That was probably our Irish background. And the other was chicken fried steak. She knew how to – I don't know how, but she knew how to bread it well and cook it well, and it was fantastic. It really was the best I've ever had. I've never had an onion burger. I've never had soft key. Fry bread I've had in other forms. Fried pies we talked about. I'll never eat fried okra. Steak, the best steak I ever had, I made myself about 2 weeks ago. I make a good steak. I'm pretty happy with my steaks. And I've never had calf fries / Rocky Mountain oysters. All right, we're about on it. What else you got? Let's wrap this up.
I did my first Zoom conference last Saturday, right after our show.
Conference?
I switched over to Zoom. It was a reunion of Southeast Community College graduates from the 1990, 89, 90, 91 years. Right. And there were probably 12, 14 of us on there. Most of us hadn't even conversed since then. Mm-hmm. I got to use Zoom. I got to see people I haven't seen in a long time.
How does it differ from Skype, your Skype experience staring at me with my Red Wings hat on?
There was a lot more people, and I didn't have to look at that hat.
So multiple windows. Okay, got it.
Yes, multiple windows, learning
and I didn't have to look at that hat
for the last
because you're such a huge hockey fan.
No, if I'm a hockey fan, I guess Blues because I've been to several Blues games.
They're nearby.
We lived at Scott, so
makes sense. All right, well, that will about wrap up the show then on Keith's memorable Zoom conference. Again, if you want to download, listen to, stream, or otherwise, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and elsewhere. Our video shows are on Facebook at the moment. We're still trying to figure out if we're going to make them available on YouTube. By the way, we have no views, so I'm not sure that helps us in any way.
What the hell?
So we'll probably keep streaming live from Facebook because we know we've got a lot of friends there on Facebook, and we can warn them when we're going to be on. So anyway, we'll stick with Facebook again this week. And then we'll go forward from there. We appreciate you listening. Thanks, Darren, for listening again. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Good night.